you want a perfect medium rare steak every time, I have two great methods for that. And all you need is a few essential, inexpensive kitchen tools. Making steaks at home, depending on your skill level, can sometimes be challenging. If you own one of these, you probably make all kinds of steaks pretty easily without much effort. If you don't know what this is a sous vide machine, and you use it by sealing your steak in plastic and then setting the recirculator here to a temperature. It keeps the water at that temperature so it can't overheat delicate foods like steak that's normally eaten at a medium rare. But these can be expensive, and today I'm going to show you two ways to cook a steak with limited equipment that can get you sous vide quality without the cost. Now, if you like this kind of test kitchen content, right now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel.
The basics of today's video are that we are going to, in a temperature-controlled environment, one being a low oven, the other being a water bath, bring steaks to a temperature a touch below rare, and then saute them in a pan on high heat to sear them. I'm going to be making one of these steaks in a budget sous vide, using a plastic bag and tap water. The other will be made using a reverse sear technique in a 225-degree oven. You will need one piece of equipment today, a thermometer. The thermometer is essential in the sous vide method to keep track of the water temperature, and I would recommend a probe thermometer for the reverse sear. You really can't get by in your kitchen without a thermometer. If you're going to cook meats that can't be consumed raw or underdone, it's a great tool to have. It's also a really good tool for meats that taste much better when they're not fully cooked, like steaks. Okay, so let's get to the steaks. I'm making a couple of New York strip steaks today, and I'm going to salt these several hours or up to a day ahead before cooking. I'm going to put a lot of salt on these, salt them very generously, and I'm going to use Diamond kosher salt. Then I'm going to put them on a wire rack uncovered in the fridge. I let these sit for about 4 hours. Before I cook, I take them out of the fridge and I let them rest on the counter for about 30 to 40 minutes, letting them come up to room temperature. The first method I want to show you is the budget sous vide. Now, this works for a lot of things that need to be cooked under 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It can work for things with a higher temperature, but it's really a lot more work. Most kitchen faucets run between 115 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The recommended temperature is 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Mine is set at that temperature. You can check this pretty easily with a digital thermometer, and if your tap is hotter than that, you're going to want to bring that water temperature down to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll need a big bowl, a Ziploc, and a clip. Run your tap water into the bowl and fill it up as high as you can. Set the temp on the tap to 120 degrees. Place your steak in a Ziploc bag and remove as much air as possible. Then seal the bag, then place it inside the bowl, clipping the top of the bag to the side. Set a timer for about 10 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, dump a little water out and then run 120 degree Fahrenheit water back into the bowl. I use my thermometer actually attached to the side of the bowl to check. Let this sit for about 10 minutes and then do it again. Repeat this about 4 total times. So about 40 minutes for that steak to sit at 120 degree Fahrenheit temperature water. Now that's also providing that the steak isn't super thick. If you're cooking like a really, really thick steak, you're probably going to want to let it sit a little longer. Another thing you're going to want to do is use your thermometer that you've been using on the side of the bowl to test to see if that steak is about 115 degrees in the center. Now, we're going to pause this for a second, and we're going to talk about how to do the other method. This is the reverse sear. Put a probe thermometer in the steak at the thickest point. Then just put it on a wire rack over a sheet pan and put it in a 225 degree oven. Now that's a still oven. At a lower temperature convection oven would be appropriate here. So if it's a convection oven, do it at around 200 degrees. Watch the probe until the steak comes to 115 degrees. Now a lot of these will have alarms built into them. Once it gets to 115, pull it out of the oven. Now, before you take your steaks out of either the water or the oven, you're going to want to get a pan nice and hot. I get a big, thick cast iron pan ripping hot on my stove until it's smoking. Then I normally turn it down until the steaks are completely finished and then crank the heat back up. Now, the budget sous vide steak, you are going to have to pat dry. It's going to be cooking in its own juices, so you do have to pat it dry. Now, the oven steak, you do not have to pat dry. You can season these if you like, but if you season them well before you put them in, you don't need any more salt. You can put other spices on them, but the spices may scorch. Just be careful. I use a good amount of oil so that the entire steak comes in contact with the heat. And I let that oil heat up before I put the steak in the pan. Now, you only have to cook these, if the pan is ripping hot, about 30 seconds each side. They do not have to cook for very long. You basically just kiss each side, set a timer if you don't know how long 30 seconds is, and just flip them over. They really shouldn't be cooking for more than a minute, minute and a half total. Now, as you can see, and we'll talk about this later, the sous vide does not get as good a crust as the one that's reverse seared. Now, when your steak is done, put it on a wire rack and let it sit for 10 minutes. This is a time lapse of the steak just sitting. The muscle fibers continue to squeeze, and you can see it squeezing out some of that juice. In a comment section, someone said they don't normally let their steaks sit because they like their food piping hot, and I'm sympathetic to this. So I wanted to do it again and see what temperature the steak is at when it sits for 10 minutes. Okay, so what happens? Well, when I removed the steak from the pan and it had cooked for a full minute, 30 seconds on each side, the needle hadn't actually moved at all. It was 115 degrees Fahrenheit in the center. So then I put it on a wire rack and I actually tried to see if the camera could see the actual temperature on this device, but the little viewfinder on the camera itself couldn't tell me whether or not I would see it. It was so small and it was so difficult to see. So I kind of just juggled it around in here to see if it would work. And then I finally just removed it from the shot because I did want to get a time lapse of this. Also, there's another steak here that's cut in half. I cooked both of these as a reverse sear, but I wanted to cut one in half to see if there'd be more juice under it when I was finished. And there's more on that in a moment. So, what temp did the steak eventually wind up at? Well, off camera, I kept an eye on that thermometer and it got up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It went through a process they call carry-over cooking. The steak was pretty much at 115 degrees Fahrenheit all the way through when I took it out of the oven. But when I seared it in that pan, in that intense heat, that heat had to work its way into the steak. And that took a while. Remember how hard the steak was squeezing in that other time lapse? Well, that's the fibers contracting because of the heat. That heat has to work its way inside. And if you cut your steak when that's happening, you will lose moisture, like you're wringing out a rag. And more importantly, if you cut your steak when it's nice and hot, literally just coming right off the heat, the fibers haven't had a chance to relax yet. So your steak will be demonstrably tougher if you just don't give it the time and opportunity to carry over cook. As you can see, there is more juice underneath the steak that was cut in half as well. So what method do I prefer? I like the reverse sear, to be frank. I love the crust that the steaks get, and you just can't get that with a sous vide. It's just always a little gummy and always a little underbrown. I would also only cook a ribeye or another steak with serious marbling of fat using the reverse sear method. The heat from the oven will make that fat just so much more palatable. There's also a reduction in moisture in the oven steak that is actually really pleasant. It's still juicy, but that juice is reduced a little, and it's more concentrated in its flavor. It's really just genuinely a great and superior method. I still like sous vide for some things, but I have to say I've been shifting a lot of my steaks to the reverse sear, and this is because of the results with so little equipment investment. So here they are head to head, the budget sous vide on the right and the reverse sear on the left. And here's a nice close-up of the reverse sear. I did this multiple times, and each time it came out amazing.
Thanks for joining me today. Remember to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments below your preferred steak and its interior temperature. I am a New York strip, 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Catch you next time. Until then, season liberally.